That's a summary of the news for you. Now, as we've been hearing, the International Red Cross has been reporting that at least 800 people have been killed in one city in Ivory Coast. And the Roman Catholic charity Caritas now claims it could be up to 1,000 people who were massacred there. The charities say they died in intercommunal violence in Douekwe in the west of the country earlier in the week. Now, Antonio Cabral is CAFOD's regional manager for West Africa, which has been providing humanitarian assistance to thousands of refugees fleeing the country as the violence gets worse. Thanks very much for joining us. Now, you've just actually returned from the border, haven't you? What is it like now?
Well, it is pretty desperate at the moment. People are running for their lives from the west of Ivory Coast. So this report we just got from ICRC and from Caritas just confirms all the worries that the conflict is probably got into radicalized, and that more people will keep fleeing.
When you hear figures like 800 or 1,000 people dead, does that surprise you?
It is appalling. It does surprise. It is mass killing, and it is very, very worrying.
What, these people who are fleeing, where are they going to, and what sort of condition are they in? Do they have places to go? Have they got water? Have they got food and so on?
These people, it is actually a very interesting story, because these people hosted refugees in the past. There was a civil war in Liberia, and Liberians had to flee to Ivory Coast, and they were hosted by them. And now there is a return of favor. So the good side of the story is these people are being well received by communities in Liberia, which have received them in the past. The sad side of the story is that people are fleeing with nothing and putting a lot of pressure on the infrastructure and on these communities that are themselves very poor.
What about organisations such as yours? What can you do to help?
Well, we're doing a lot, we're doing what we can. We're trying to help both the host communities and the refugees to cope with the increase of population in these villages by providing shelter, emergency food, extra seeds so they can grow their own food, but also sanitation, things like construction of latrines, access to clean water.
I suppose, though, that if we go back to the problem, unless the problems in the country themselves are solved, these people basically have nowhere to call home.
Yeah. It is very difficult to know for how long they'll have to be. And from their experience from the other side of the wall, we had Liberians that spent more than 10 years in Cote d'Ivoire, so it could be that will happen the other way around now. And as I said, the fact that the military option was chosen probably means that radicalization of the conflict will mean that people will be very worried about going back in the near future.
And what about your workers? Are they safe working there?
Well, we are on the Liberian side at the moment, and on the Liberian side it is safe. But our colleagues in Ivory Coast has been very difficult. We had the director of the Caritas Abidjan who was kidnapped last week. Luckily he was released a couple of days ago. We have had some targeting of humanitarian workers. So the situation within Ivory Coast is very, very worrying at the moment.
Okay, Antonio Cabral, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.